Admiral John Collins stood at the viewport of Earth's orbital command station. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he watched the stars. 58 years old with gray hair and tired eyes, he had seen much in his career. But nothing like this. "Sir, we have movement at the edge of the solar system," said Lieutenant Diane Miller. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display. At 32, she was the best xenolinguist in the fleet, with an uncanny ability to decode alien languages. "Show me," Collins said. The main screen flickered to life. Massive ships, at least 20 of them, moved through the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. Their hulls gleamed with a purple-black metal unknown to Earth science. They were Vraxian vessels, the military arm of the Galactic Hegemony. "How long until they reach Earth?" Collins asked. "At their current speed, 48 hours, responded Officer Greg Hayes from the tactical station. His young face looked pale under the blue light of his console. Collins nodded slowly. "And our ambassadors on the Hegemony station?" Diane lowered her eyes. "All communication cut off 6 hours ago. The station has gone dark. It had been 3 years since humanity made first contact with the Galactic Hegemony. They had arrived with promises of peace and advancement, establishing trading posts on Mars and sharing small pieces of their technology. Earth's nations had united in response, forming the United Earth Defense Command. Collins had been chosen to lead it. "Play the transmission again," Collins ordered. The screen changed to show a recording. Diane had intercepted it just 12 hours ago, a message not meant for human ears. She had been monitoring Hegemony communications as a routine precaution when she caught it. A tall, insect-like Vraxian spoke in clicks and whistles. The translation appeared as text. "The Earth containment operation is approved. Their resources will serve the Hegemony. Their resistance will be minimal. Begin harvest preparations." The room fell silent. They had all seen it multiple times now, but the impact hadn't lessened. "Get me Ambassador Zekthal," Collins said. Minutes later, the face of the Hegemony ambassador appeared on screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, mandibles twitching in what humans had learned was amusement. "Admiral Collins, I was about to contact you. I regret to inform you that I have been recalled. Diplomatic relations will be restructured." Collins kept his face neutral. "We intercepted communications about a containment operation. Care to explain before you leave?" The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand your place, Admiral. Earth is young, primitive. The Hegemony decides the fate of all developing worlds. You should be grateful for whatever future we decide for you." The screen went dark as the ambassador cut the connection. "He's running," said Greg. Collins turned to his senior staff gathered around the command table. "Status of Project Backstop?" Commander Sam Wilson stepped forward, tablet in hand. He was the liaison to Earth's secret shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt. "The defense fleet is at 80% readiness. We have 12 destroyers, 25 cruisers, and 40 fighter squadrons." "That won't be enough," Collins said. "Not against Vraxian Dreadnoughts." "It's all we have ready," Sam replied. "The 6 special projects are still months from completion." Collins nodded. "Then we work with what we have, and we buy time." He pressed a button on the table, opening a channel to all Earth military installations. "This is Admiral Collins. First Contact Protocol Epsilon is now in effect. This is not a drill. All personnel to battle stations." Across Earth, military bases came alive with activity. Civilian governments were notified. The emergency broadcast system was activated worldwide. In orbit, the modest Earth defense fleet began to mobilize. Ships that had been disguised as research vessels and satellites revealed hidden weapon systems. The fleet was small by Hegemony standards, but it represented the best Earth could build after studying the gifts of alien technology. "What about the lunar base?" asked Diane. "Send the evacuation order," Collins replied. "All non-essential personnel to the underground shelters. Chief Engineer Harrison stays with a skeleton crew. They need to finish what they started." On the moon, the secret research facility began emptying. Only Paul Harrison and his core team remained, working frantically on technology that might save humanity if all else failed. 24 hours later, the Vraxian fleet entered Mars orbit. They destroyed the human outposts there without warning or communication. No survivors. Captain Susan Ward of the UES Defiant positioned her ship at the head of Earth's defensive line. All ships, form up. Remember your training. We are humanity's first and last line of defense. The Earth fleet looked impressive on the monitors in Collins' command center, but he knew the truth. They were outmatched. This would be a slaughter. "Sir," said Diane, "the Vraxian command ship is broadcasting. They're making no attempt to hide it." "On screen," Collins ordered. The Vraxian admiral appeared, his exoskeleton adorned with medals and trophies. "Humans of Earth, your resistance is noted and dismissed. Your species shows promise as a servant race. Surrender now, and we will preserve a breeding population. Resist, and we will reduce your numbers to a more manageable level." Collins didn't respond. Instead, he opened a channel to Captain Ward. "Susan, you know what to do." Ward's face appeared, determined and calm. "Yes, sir. It's been an honor." "The honor is mine, Captain. Earth will remember." The battle began as the Vraxian ships moved into range. Earth's fleet launched everything they had. Commander Alan Pierce, tactical genius and Ward's second-in-command, coordinated the attack patterns. For a brief moment it seemed like humanity might have a chance. The Defiant struck first, its advanced weapons tearing through a Vraxian cruiser. Fighter squadrons swarmed between the massive alien ships, targeting weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. But then, the Vraxians responded. Their weapons were beyond anything Earth had faced. Energy beams cut through human ships like paper. Defensive, shields collapsed under repeated hits. 6 hours later, it was over. The Defiant, broken and burning, drifted in space. Captain Ward ordered evacuation, but her escape pod was targeted and destroyed seconds after launch. The Earth fleet was decimated. From the lunar base, Paul Harrison watched the destruction on his monitors, tears in his eyes. "They're all gone," he whispered to his team. "We're on our own now." Celebrations erupted across the hegemony communication channels. The Vraxian Admiral Zerth Ka broadcast his victory speech. "Earth is now under hegemony control. Pacification will begin immediately. Resource extraction teams prepare for deployment." In his command center, Admiral Collins watched the alien ships move into Earth orbit. His staff looked to him, expecting defeat. Instead, he smiled. "Send the signal," he ordered. Diane looked confused but followed the order. A simple code was transmitted on a frequency the hegemony had never detected. Far beyond Neptune, hidden in the planet's stormy atmosphere, 6 massive ships received the signal. Earth's true fleet, the Dreadnoughts, powered up their engines. The real battle was about to begin. Deep within Neptune's swirling blue storms, 6 massive ships stirred to life. Each vessel was 3 times larger than anything Earth had shown the galaxy. Their dark hulls absorbed the faint sunlight that reached this distant part of the solar. System Fleet Commander Maria Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, the lead dreadnought. She was 50 years old with short black hair streaked with gray and eyes that had seen too much war on Earth before the aliens came. "Signal received and authenticated," said Lieutenant Commander Kevin Bradley, her second-in-command. "Earth Defense. Command has initiated Operation Lazarus." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "So Collins couldn't stop them. The sacrifice has begun." "The fleet we showed them was never meant to win," Bradley said quietly. "Just to buy us time." Rodriguez looked around, at her crew, 150 of Earth's best, hidden away for 3 years on this secret mission. When the hegemony arrived, Earth's leaders had made a choice. They would appear welcoming, even submissive, while secretly preparing for the war they knew would come. "Status report," Rodriguez ordered. "All systems operational on Vengeance," replied Bradley. "Justice, Liberty, Retribution, Sovereign, and Defiance report ready for jump." Rodriguez opened a channel to all 6 ships. "This is Fleet Commander Rodriguez. 3 years ago, we left Earth to prepare for this day. We knew the hegemony couldn't be trusted. Now they've shown their true intentions by attacking our home. She paused, letting her words sink in. Our friends and families just gave their lives to make the enemy think they've won. The Vraxians believe Earth is defeated. They're wrong. Prepare for jump sequence. On the bridge of the UES Liberty, Commander Jeff Howard checked the final calculations for the faster-than-light jump. Earth scientists had studied the limited FTL technology shared by the hegemony and made significant improvements. The aliens believed precise jumps within a solar system were impossible. They were about to learn otherwise. Jump coordinates locked, Howard reported. All weapon systems primed. Dr. Nancy Clark monitored the gravitational distortion cannons from her station on the UES Defiance. The weapons had been deemed too dangerous to pursue in the hegemony's shared databases. Earth scientists had taken this as a challenge, not a warning. Power levels stable, Clark reported. GD cannons ready. In Earth orbit, the Vraxian fleet prepared landing ships. Ground troops were being loaded for the occupation of major cities. Admiral Zerthka watched from his command ship, mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Begin landing sequence, he ordered. Target their government centers first. A junior officer approached. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the human moon base. Destroy it, Zerthka said dismissively. Nothing they have can threaten us now. 3 Vraxian cruisers moved toward the moon, weapons charging. On the lunar surface, Paul Harrison and his team worked frantically in their underground lab. They're coming for us, said a young engineer. Harrison didn't look up from his console. Just give me 2 more minutes. We need to mask the Dreadnoughts' approach. In Neptune's orbit, the 6 Earth Dreadnoughts moved into formation. Their massive engines glowed with blue-white energy. All ships prepare for synchronized jump, Rodriguez ordered. On my mark, 3, 2, 1, execute. The Dreadnoughts vanished in flashes of light, tearing holes in spacetime. On the Vraxian command ship, alarms suddenly blared. Admiral, shouted a sensor operator. Multiple massive objects appearing in Earth orbit. Impossible, Zerthka snapped. Nothing that size can jump inside a solar system. The 6 Earth Dreadnoughts appeared simultaneously around the planet. Their arrival created gravitational distortions that immediately disabled the nearest Vraxian ships. Zerthka's command vessel rocked violently as systems failed across his fleet. Open a channel to the Vraxian flagship, Rodriguez ordered. On the main screen, Admiral Zerthka appeared, his compound eyes wide with shock. This is Fleet Commander Maria Rodriguez of the United Earth Defense Force. You were warned. She cut the transmission and turned to Bradley. All ships, open fire. The 6 Dreadnoughts unleashed their weapons. The gravitational distortion cannons fired, creating localized warps in spacetime that tore apart Vraxian ships from the inside out. Fighter squadrons launched from the Earth vessels, each craft piloted by veterans who had trained for years for this moment. Lieutenant Lisa Freeman led the fighter squadron from the Vengeance. Wolf Squadron, form up. Target their engines and weapons systems. The Earth fighters moved with surprising speed and agility, confusing the Vraxian targeting systems. The alien ships had never faced such maneuverable opponents. On the lunar base, Harrison activated the final phase of his plan. A series of devices planted throughout the solar system began generating a field that prevented the Vraxians from jumping to safety. No retreat, Harrison said grimly. Not for them. The Vraxian fleet tried to regroup, but Earth's Dreadnoughts executed a series of short jumps appearing and disappearing around the battlefield. This tactic had never been seen in galactic warfare. The Vraxians couldn't predict where the next attack would come from. They're trying to break formation, Bradley reported, attempting to reach minimum safe distance for FTL. Rodriguez shook her head. They won't make it. Harrison's field is working. Admiral Zerthka watched in growing horror as his fleet was decimated. Half his ships were already destroyed or disabled. He made a desperate decision. Target Earth's population centers, he ordered. If we cannot have this world, no one will. The remaining Vraxian ships turned their weapons toward Earth. Cities like New York, Beijing, and Cairo were suddenly in their sights. They're targeting civilians, Bradley warned. Rodriguez's face hardened. Execute Maneuver Omega. The 6 dreadnoughts jumped again, this time positioning themselves directly between the Vraxian weapons and Earth. The human ships absorbed devastating hits meant for the planet below. On the Vengeance, systems failed as energy blasts struck the hull. Emergency lights flashed red. Shields at 30%, reported an officer. We can't take another hit like that. Rodriguez gripped her command chair. We won't have to. Launch all remaining fighters. Target their weapon systems only. The Earth fighters swarmed the Vraxian ships, concentrating fire on weapon emplacements. One by one, the alien vessels lost their ability to attack. On his command ship, Admiral Zerth Ka watched his defeat unfold. How? He demanded of no one in particular. How did primitives do this? A bridge officer responded. They tricked us. What we fought earlier was just a decoy fleet. The Vraxian admiral stared at the massive Earth dreadnoughts on his view screen. The vessels showed battle damage but remained operational. His own fleet was in ruins. Open a channel, he said finally. Rodriguez appeared on his screen. Are you ready to surrender, Admiral? For the first time in his long military career, Zerth Ka had no choice. The remaining ships of the Vraxian fleet yield to Earth forces. Rodriguez's expression didn't change. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction. As the transmission ended, Bradley turned to Rodriguez. We did it. We actually did it. Rodriguez looked out at Earth, blue and peaceful below them. This was just the beginning, she said quietly. The hegemony won't stop with one fleet, but at least now they know what they're dealing with. Outside, Earth fighters escorted the defeated Vraxian ships into holding positions. The first battle was over. Humanity had survived. But the war had just begun. Admiral Zerth Ka stood in the holding cell aboard the UES Vengeance. His tall insect-like body seemed diminished somehow. His forearms were bound by energy restraints that hummed softly in the quiet room. 2 human guards watched him carefully, weapons ready. The door slid open and Fleet Commander Maria Rodriguez entered. She wore her formal uniform, medals gleaming under the bright lights. You wanted to speak with me, Admiral? She asked. Zerth Ka's mandibles clicked slowly. I want to understand. How did a primitive species manage this? Rodriguez smiled without humor. That was your first mistake, thinking we were primitive. She pressed a button on the wall, and a holographic display appeared. It showed Earth's solar system, with small lights representing ships and bases. Hundreds of them, scattered throughout the asteroid belt and beyond. When your hegemony arrived 3 years ago, our leaders didn't trust you, Rodriguez explained. Throughout human history, when advanced civilizations met less advanced ones, it rarely ended well for the less advanced. Zerth Ka stared at the display. These are all military installations? Shipyards, research stations, mining operations, all hidden from your sensors. Rodriguez zoomed in on an area past the Kuiper Belt. And these are what should worry the hegemony most. The image showed massive construction facilities with dozens of dreadnought frames in various stages of completion. Impossible, Zerth Ka whispered. Your species doesn't have the resources or technology. We took every scrap of technology your people shared, studied it, and improved it, Rodriguez said. Your hegemony made another critical mistake. You judged us by our technology, not by our nature. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. War is something we understand all too well. On the bridge of the UES Liberty, Commander Jeff Howard reviewed damage reports. The dreadnoughts had survived, but not without cost. 28 crew members dead across the fleet. 16 fighters lost. Repairs would take weeks. Lieutenant Lisa Freeman entered, still wearing her flight suit. Her face was streaked with sweat, her eyes tired but alert. Commander, she said with a salute. Fighter squadrons are secured. We lost good pilots today. Howard nodded gravely. They died protecting Earth. Their sacrifice won't be forgotten. The captured Vraxian pilots are Saying strange things, Freeman said. They keep asking how we managed to hide a fleet this size. They genuinely believed they were facing a primitive species. Their intelligence on us was deliberately flawed, Howard explained. When the hegemony first arrived, Earth Security Council decided to present ourselves as less advanced than we really were. We showed them outdated technology, let them believe we were still divided into competing nations. A trap, Freeman said. We lured them in. Admiral Collins predicted they would eventually try to take Earth by force. The hegemony has done the same to a dozen other worlds. We had to be ready. At the lunar base, Chief Engineer Paul Harrison supervised repairs to the facility. Fraxian bombs had damaged the outer sections, but the underground labs remained intact. His team was already back at work studying captured Vraxian technology. "Sir," called a young engineer, "you need to see this." Harrison moved to a workstation, where a Vraxian communication device had been disassembled. Its components were spread across the table. "We found this in the Admiral's ship," the engineer explained. "It's transmitting on a frequency we've never seen before, aimed at somewhere beyond our solar system." Harrison's eyes narrowed. "They're calling for reinforcements." Back on the Vengeance, Rodriguez received the news from Harrison. She immediately called an emergency meeting with her senior officers in the ship's command center. "The Vraxians sent a distress signal before we captured their command ship," she told the assembled leaders. "According to our estimates, it will reach hegemony space in 6 days. We need to prepare for their response." Commander Sam Wilson, who had survived the initial battle aboard a small stealth vessel, spoke up. "What kind of response should we expect?" Dr. Nancy Clark, the weapons specialist, answered. "Based on data from the captured ships, the hegemony maintains at least 12 battle groups, each twice the size of the force we just defeated. They could send all of them." "We need to accelerate our defense preparations," Rodriguez said. "The 6 Dreadnoughts alone won't be enough against their full military might." "What about the shipyards beyond Neptune?" asked Kevin Bradley. "How soon until the new Dreadnoughts are ready?" "The nearest to completion are still 2 months from being operational," Wilson replied. "We need more time." Rodriguez stood and walked to the large viewport. Earth was visible in the distance, a blue jewel against the blackness of space. "Then we'll make time," she said firmly. "Harrison's team has been studying the Vraxian jump technology. We need to find a way to delay or block their arrival." On Earth, Admiral John Collins addressed the United Nations Security Council. The room was tense, filled with world leaders who had just witnessed humanity's narrow escape from extinction. "The battle is won, but the war is just beginning," Collins told them. "The hegemony will respond with overwhelming force once they learn what happened here." "How much time do we have?" asked the Secretary General. "Our best estimate is 3 weeks before their main fleet arrives," Collins replied. "We need to prepare the planet for possible invasion. Civilian bunkers must be completed. Military production must increase tenfold." "And if we can't stop their next attack?" asked another leader. Collins' face was grim. "Then humanity will fight from the shadows. We've established hidden colonies on Mars, Europa, and several asteroids. If Earth falls, our species will survive and continue the fight." In deep space beyond the orbit of Pluto, Dr. Amy Williams worked on a secret mission. Her ship, the UES Discovery, was small and virtually undetectable. She and her team had been studying the captured Vraxian admiral's communications. "There's something interesting here," she told her team as they gathered around a display. "The admiral's personal logs mention other species who resisted the hegemony, planets that were conquered or destroyed." "How does that help us?" asked one of her colleagues. Williams smiled. "Because some of them may still exist, hidden like we were, preparing to be, and they might be willing to ally with us against their old enemy." She pointed to a star map with several highlighted systems. These worlds were listed as pacified in the official records, but the Admiral's private notes suggest resistance movements still exist on at least 3 of them. "You want to contact them," her colleague realized. "Create a coalition against the hegemony. The enemy of my enemy is my friend," Williams said. "We need allies and fast." Back on the Vengeance, Rodriguez received Williams' report. She considered the implications as she prepared to meet again with the captured Vraxian admiral. This time, when she entered his cell, she brought something with her. A data tablet containing information about Earth's history of warfare, revolution, and resistance. Your hegemony has conquered many worlds, she told Zerth-Ka, but you've never faced a species like humans before. We don't surrender easily, and we're very, very good at fighting back when cornered. The Admiral's alien eyes studied her. What do you want from me? Information, Rodriguez said simply. About the other species who've resisted the hegemony, the ones your empire couldn't quite break. Why would I help you? Zerth-Ka asked. Rodriguez leaned closer. Because I suspect you're not as loyal to the hegemony as you pretend to be. Your private logs tell a different story. You've questioned their methods, their rule. Perhaps it's time to choose a different side. For the first time, the Vraxian admiral looked uncertain. The war was taking an unexpected turn, and the fate of Earth, and possibly the galaxy, hung in the balance. 2 weeks passed since the battle for Earth. The captured Vraxian ships had been moved to a secure location in the asteroid belt. Earth scientists worked day and night to understand the alien technology. Every discovery could help humanity survive. What was coming? Admiral Zerth-Ka had finally agreed to help. His loyalty to the hegemony had broken after Commander Rodriguez showed him Earth's historical records. Scenes of human resistance against overwhelming odds throughout history seemed to affect him deeply. Your species refuses to accept defeat, he had told Rodriguez. The hegemony has never encountered such persistence. Now the Vraxian admiral stood with Rodriguez on the observation deck of the Vengeance, looking at a holographic map of nearby star systems. The hegemony will send at least 3 battle groups, Zerth-Ka explained, each with 20 dreadnoughts and support vessels. They will arrive within 5 days. Rodriguez frowned. Can we stop them before they reach Earth? Not with your current forces, Zerth-Ka said, but there might be another way. His claw-like hand pointed to a star system near the edge of hegemony space. The Parex were subjugated 50 years ago. Their resistance movement is still active. They developed technology that disrupts our jump drives. Rodriguez studied the map. How do we contact them? I know their secret communication channels, Zerth-Ka replied. Many Vraxian officers sympathize with conquered species. We help them when we can without the hegemony's knowledge. Rodriguez looked surprised. You've been helping resistance movements? Why? The alien's compound eyes seemed to dim. The hegemony was once a peaceful alliance. 300 years ago, the Vraxians took control. We turned the alliance into an empire. Many of us regret what we've become. On the UES Discovery, Dr. Amy Williams received the communication codes from Zerth-Ka. Her small ship moved carefully through the darkness of space heading toward the Parex system. Transmission ready, reported her communications officer. But we have no way to know if they'll respond or attack us. Williams nodded. Send it anyway. We need allies. The message traveled through subspace encoded in patterns Zerth-Ka had provided. Hours passed with no response. The crew grew nervous. Then a signal appeared. A voice spoke in a strange musical language. The ship's computer translated, "Human vessel, your presence is unexpected. How did you find our channel?" Williams leaned forward. We have a Vraxian admiral who supports your cause. Earth recently defeated a hegemony attack force. We seek allies against our common enemy. There was a long pause. Then, sending coordinates. Approach with caution. The Discovery followed the coordinates to a small moon orbiting a gas giant. As they neared, a hidden base revealed itself. Ships unlike any humans had seen before waited there. They were sleek and curved, almost organic in appearance. A being appeared on their view screen. It had silver skin and large dark eyes. I am Kalax, leader of the Parex resistance. We have fought the hegemony for decades. If you truly defeated their forces, we have much to discuss. Back on Earth, Admiral Collins supervised the planet's defenses. New weapon platforms orbited the planet. Civilian populations moved to underground shelters. Military forces stood ready. Collins met with Commander Jeff Howard in the Lunar Base Command Center. Status of the Jupiter defense line? Collins asked. Howard pulled up a tactical display. Minefields are in place. The Io and Europa platforms are operational. If the hegemony fleet arrives as expected, they'll have to fight through multiple defensive layers. And the new weapons? Collins asked. Dr. Clark's gravitational distortion bombs are ready, Howard replied. Limited supply, but each one should disable a hegemony dreadnought. Collins nodded slowly. It won't be enough if they send their full force. Commander Rodriguez is working on that problem, Howard said. If she can form alliances with other resistance movements. In the Kuiper Belt, the hidden shipyards worked at maximum capacity. 6 new dreadnoughts neared completion. Workers moved in zero gravity, welding enormous hull plates and installing weapon systems. Chief Engineer Paul Harrison inspected the UES Relentless, the newest dreadnought. How soon until it's ready? He asked the yard supervisor. 3 more days for basic systems, the supervisor replied. But the gravitational weapons won't be ready for at least a week. Harrison shook his head. We don't have a week. Install the standard weapon packages. We need this ship operational now. Near the Parax system, the Discovery docked with the Resistance base. Dr. Williams met with Kalax and other Resistance leaders. Maps and tactical displays covered the walls of their meeting room. Our jump disruptors can delay the hegemony fleet, Kalax explained, but not stop them completely. Delay is exactly what we need, Williams replied. Time to prepare and gather more allies. Another alien, with blue skin and 4 arms, spoke up. The Novan network would join your coalition. They've been fighting the hegemony through information warfare for centuries. And the Zenith tribes, added a third being, tall and thin with crystalline features. Their stealth technology is unmatched. Williams smiled. Then a true alliance is possible. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent message. Parax sensors had detected hegemony movement. Their main fleet had departed earlier than expected. They would reach Earth in just 3 days. On the Vengeance, Commander Rodriguez received the warning. All ships, battle stations, she ordered. Prepare for immediate jump to Jupiter defense line. The 6 Earth dreadnoughts moved into formation. Their hulls showed recent repairs, patches covering damage from the first battle. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Bradley coordinated with the fighter squadrons. All pilots ready for deployment. This fight will be much harder than the last. Rodriguez opened a channel to Admiral Collins. The hegemony fleet is coming earlier than we anticipated. At least 60 dreadnoughts and support vessels. Collins's face was grim. Our defenses aren't fully ready. We have allies now, Rodriguez replied. The Parax are sending ships. Others may join them. Will it be enough? Collins asked. Rodriguez didn't answer directly. Harrison is bringing the Relentless online. We'll have 7 dreadnoughts instead of 6. 7 against 60, Collins said quietly. We beat them once when the odds were impossible, Rodriguez reminded him. We'll do it again. Admiral Zerth Ka joined Rodriguez on the bridge. The hegemony ships will exit jump space near Jupiter's orbit. I recommend positioning your forces here. He indicated a point in space. Rodriguez studied his suggestion. That's an unusual formation. It leaves Earth exposed. Trust me, Zerth Ka said. I commanded hegemony fleets for 30 years. I know their tactics. Rodriguez made her decision. All ships, move to these coordinates. Prepare for the most important battle in human history. Throughout the Earth fleet, crews readied themselves. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had fought impossible odds before and won. Lieutenant Lisa Freeman prepared her fighter squadron. Check your systems twice, she told her pilots. We can't afford mistakes today. In the distance, space began to ripple. The sensors detected massive energy readings. The hegemony fleet was arriving, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance once again. Space rippled and tore as the hegemony fleet arrived near Jupiter. 60 massive dreadnoughts emerged from jump space, their purple-black hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Support ships followed by the hundreds, It was the largest attack force the hegemony had ever assembled. On the command ship, Grand Admiral Vorthal watched the holographic display with confidence. Forearms crossed over his armored chest as he studied the human defenses. Their forces are positioned incorrectly, he noted to his officers. They've left Earth exposed. His second-in-command responded, perhaps they recognized the futility of resistance and wished to negotiate surrender. Vorthal's mandibles clicked in amusement. After what they did to Zerthka's fleet, no, they will fight, but they will lose. The hegemony ships moved forward in perfect formation, spreading out to encircle Jupiter and its moons. Their sensors detected Earth's 7 dreadnoughts, seemingly out of position near Europa. Grand Admiral Vorthal opened a communication channel. Humans of Earth. I am Grand Admiral Vorthal of the Galactic Hegemony. Your resistance is impressive, but futile. Surrender now and some of your population will be spared. Aboard the UES Vengeance, Commander Maria Rodriguez received the transmission. Admiral Zerthka stood beside her, his alien face unreadable. They're following standard encirclement tactics, Zerthka said quietly. Just as I predicted. Rodriguez nodded and opened a return channel. This is Fleet Commander Rodriguez of Earth. We reject your offer. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships hold position. Wait for my signal. Throughout the Earth fleet, crews tensed for battle. On the UES Liberty, Commander Jeff Howard checked the status of the gravitational distortion weapons. On the newly commissioned UES Relentless, Chief Engineer Paul Harrison monitored the still untested engines. In their fighter craft, Lieutenant Lisa Freeman and her pilots waited for the order to launch. The hegemony fleet moved closer, their weapons charging. They expected an easy victory. Grand Admiral Vorthal gave the order. All ships prepare to fire. At that moment, Rodriguez sent her signal, not to the Earth fleet, but elsewhere. Suddenly, space behind the hegemony fleet began to distort. Dozens of jump points opened simultaneously. Through them came ships of different designs and sizes. The Parax arrived in their curved organic vessels, the Zenith tribes in crystalline ships that bent light around them, the Novan network in small, incredibly fast attack craft, and more. Other species the hegemony had conquered or tried to destroy, all arriving at once, surrounding the hegemony fleet from behind. Grand Admiral Vorthal stared in shock. What is this? How did they coordinate? His sensor officer shouted in alarm. Sir, jump disruptors activating. We cannot retreat. The Parax technology spread throughout the battlefield, preventing the hegemony ships from escaping back to jump space. They were trapped. Rodriguez opened a channel to all Allied ships. This is Earth Command. Attack Pattern Alpha. Now. The 7 Earth Dreadnoughts activated their engines at full power, moving with unexpected speed toward the hegemony center. At the same time, the Allied species attacked from all sides. The battle erupted across the Jupiter system. The hegemony fleet, designed to attack in formation, found itself fighting in all directions at once. Their careful tactics fell apart in the chaos. Lieutenant Freeman led her fighter squadron through the confusion. Target their sensor arrays and engines, she ordered. Her pilots followed, their smaller ships slipping between the massive hegemony. Dreadnoughts. On Europa's surface, Admiral Collins activated the hidden defense platforms. Energy beams shot upward, striking hegemony ships from below. The minefields, Collins ordered. Activate them now. Throughout the space around Jupiter, hidden mines suddenly appeared on hegemony scanners, too late for them to evade. Explosions rippled across their fleet. Grand Admiral Vorthal fought to regain control of the battle. All ships tighten formation. Concentrate fire on the Earth vessels. The hegemony dreadnoughts turned their main weapons toward the approaching Earth ships. Energy beams lanced out, striking the UES Justice. The human ship's shields flared and failed, its hull breaching in multiple sections. Justice is hit badly, Bradley reported on the Vengeance. They're losing power. Rodriguez's face remained calm. All ships, execute micro jumps on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The 6 remaining Earth dreadnoughts vanished, reappearing seconds later in different positions, now inside the hegemony formation. It was a tactic the hegemony believed impossible. From these new positions, the Earth ships fired their gravitational distortion cannons at point-blank range. Hegemony dreadnoughts began to tear apart from the inside, their hulls collapsing under impossible forces. Dr. Nancy Clark monitored the weapons from the UES Defiance. GD cannons at maximum. We can't maintain this output for long. The Allied ships pressed their attack. The Parax vessels released clouds of tiny robots that attached to hegemony hulls, boring through to disable systems from within. The Zenith ships, nearly invisible, fired precision shots at weapon emplacements. The Novan craft moved faster than targeting systems could track, drawing fire away from larger Allied vessels. On his command ship, Grand Admiral Vorthal watched his perfect fleet falling apart. How is this possible? They are primitives. They cannot have coordinated this. His second-in-command pointed to a transmission coming from within their own fleet. Sir, one of our ships is broadcasting to the Allies. It's giving away our tactical plans. Vorthal stared at the display. Find that traitor. Destroy that ship. Aboard the Vengeance, Admiral Zerth Ka monitored the hegemony communications. They've discovered our inside source, he told Rodriguez. But it's too late for them. The battle raged for hours. Hegemony ships fell one by one. Earth vessels took heavy damage but continued fighting. Allied ships swarmed like insects around the larger enemy craft. Finally, Grand Admiral Vorthal's command ship stood nearly alone, surrounded by Earth and Allied vessels. More than 40 hegemony dreadnoughts had been destroyed or disabled. The rest had scattered, unable to maintain formation. Rodriguez opened a channel. Grand Admiral, your fleet is defeated. You are surrounded with no escape. Do you surrender? Vorthal's face appeared on the screen, his alien features twisted with rage. The hegemony does not surrender to primitives. His claw reached for a control panel. Zerth Ka recognized the gesture. He's activating the self-destruct. All ships back away, Rodriguez shouted. All vessels, emergency jump, now. The Earth and Allied ships vanished just as Vorthal's command ship exploded in a blinding flash. The shockwave damaged nearby vessels, but most escaped destruction. When the light faded, the remaining hegemony ships were in retreat, jumping away to whatever safety they could find. In Earth orbit, 3 weeks later, representatives from 20 formerly subjugated species gathered aboard the repaired UES Vengeance. Admiral John Collins and Commander Maria Rodriguez welcomed them to what would become known as the Free Worlds Alliance. Admiral Zerth Ka, now representing those Vraxians, who had opposed the hegemony's aggression, addressed the gathering. For centuries, the hegemony has ruled through fear and division. They kept us apart, preventing us from recognizing our common cause. Dr. Amy Williams added, Today marks the beginning of something new, not an empire, but a true alliance of equals. Rodriguez looked out at the representatives of so many different species. The hegemony thought they had won when they attacked Earth. They believed us weak and primitive. They were wrong, and that mistake cost them everything. Collins nodded. This is just the beginning. The hegemony still controls much of the galaxy. But together we can free all worlds from their rule. Outside the Vengeance, Earth's dreadnoughts patrolled alongside ships from a dozen different worlds. And in the shipyards throughout the solar system, more vessels were under construction, not just for Earth, but for all members of the new alliance. The galaxy would never be the same, and it had all begun when the Galactic Fleet thought they had won, only to discover they had awakened a force more powerful than they could have imagined.